on Mixcloud. The Husk on Mixcloud. Barry and Irina are speaking in your ear holes. Playing a bit of music, having a bit of chat and that. The Husk on Mixcloud. The Husk on Mixcloud. Turn it up loud. Warning may contain the levelers.
Okay, it's the Husk Unfiltered Radio made here in Brighton in Husk Hamlet, and we have on the show today a very, very special guest. It is the one, the only, thank God, Superfan Dave. Welcome to the show, Superfan Dave.
Nice to be here.
Your name really is David Cripps.
It is, yeah.
Not Superfan Dave.
No.
But it's a good moniker.
I'm getting used to it. It's a bit strange.
Well, you know. What can I say? Now, so let's introduce you. You are on this show as a... well, how are you going to describe yourself to us?
Well,
You're a playwright.
I guess just a creator of audio dramas and motion comics.
Audio dramas and motion comics. Great. We're gonna get into talking with you in a minute. But before we do that, I'm going to run a few things because I get complaints off the fans. They write in and they say, you haven't done this and you haven't done this. So a few weeks ago I had the complaint that I wasn't introducing people, so I've just done that, haven't I? Now also I went to see my friend in the north, Carlos, at the last weekend, and he said to me, he didn't even know it was on YouTube. He didn't even know what was going on. So I'm going to explain. So this show at the moment, as it stands, is on Mixcloud. And all of the shows are on Mixcloud. This is episode 45 of The Husk, and all of the previous episodes are all on Mixcloud. But we've also now on YouTube, and we're on YouTube from the last, how many episodes we've done? 3. This is number 4, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we've had 4 episodes, or we're doing the 4th episode on YouTube, so you can watch it there. And who knows, in the future you might be able to watch it elsewhere. If you watch it on YouTube, it might be better because we've got we can play little videos and clips and things like that. Do you think that'll satisfy them?
I think so, yeah.
Oh no, there's another thing. We're looking for guests. We've got Superfan Dave on today, David Cripps, playwright extraordinaire. Then next week, hopefully, we're going to have an actual funeral director on the show who's going to talk about death. It's going to be a whole show about death. So that's going to be good. And then after that, we are going to have Nicola on again, who is the life coach. There's a dog coming to the building. What's going on here? We're going to have the Nicola on, who's a life coach, and she's going to be talking about, well, life and hopefully not coaches, because that's a really boring subject. Right, that's appeased all them. Now, Dave, let's begin this interview by me saying thank you to you, because the Husk has a very small but tight-knitted community of listeners. There's about 5 of you that sort of religiously listen, and you're all very, very encouraging. All of you are. But the thing is, all of the other people are people that I guess I was quite close to before I started the Husk and knew quite well. And although I have known you through music and the open mic scene and things like that, we're not super close. But you have gone out of your way to contact me. You've given some very encouraging feedback. You've written big, lengthy things to me. So I just want to say I'm really grateful for that. And it's been absolutely great. I don't know without all of you. Well, the Husk probably wouldn't be carrying on. So it's always good to get.
Well, that's a good thing, I think. Personally.
Well, you know yourself, Dave, that if you're doing a creative project, you do need somebody to,
You do.
You need a bit of appreciation.
You've got to be thick-skinned as well, and you just got to make your own decisions and plough your own road, as it were. Find your own direction, stick to it, I think.
Yeah, it can be a very difficult thing to do. I'm not the thickest skinned person, which people maybe think that I am. I'm just massively looking for people to go, that was good. I don't even think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's okay. Right, now, so you've written a audio drama that you've also tied in with a motion comic.
Yeah.
Talk us through it. What is it?
It all could start. You had Carl Anderson on a couple of shows ago, who is the principal character in the stories. He plays a character called Steve Stevenson, and that grew out of I was about 2019, beginning of 2019, I decided I was going to teach myself how to use 3D software to produce animations. I can't draw, but computer software has come such a long way now. You can achieve quite amazing things without having the ability to draw. So I just thought it'll take me about 2.5 years to get to the point where I can actually publish something, which I managed to achieve. But I started off by doing green screen experiments. So I created this house and I created this kind of haunted house thing. And I was going to do this story called The Knucklehole, and I acted it myself. And I was absolutely shit. It was really, really poor. And I actually posted on Facebook, and you pointed me, does anyone know of anybody who might want to do the acting for me? And you actually said, give Carl a call. And he was well up for it. And
I'd forgotten about that, but that did happen, didn't it? And of course, you also famously animated some lap dancing, sexual, naked alien butts that
to
you
date
turned
my
into
best animations.
That you turned into a Husk trailer.
Yeah, that was funny. Because if you remember, I did the first trailer and I had the aliens just dancing, just simple dancing. And I was just playing around in 3D software. You have a camera. That's like a virtual camera, and you can position it, move it around. And I was moving it around, and they were dancing. By accident, I was looking at their arses.
Of course, it was by accident, Dave.
And I just thought that's hysterical.
It's smut, and we don't condone smut here on the Husk, right? It's absolutely disgusting. It's one for the therapist, right? So you've written this thing. It's called Through the Black Door. Yeah,
the series is Through the Black Door. The first episode is called The Book That Wasn't There.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because we got that wrong on the last show, didn't we? But I blame your actor because he gave me the wrong information.
He's already apologised.
And he plays Steve Stevenson, who's a sort of a cult investigator.
Yeah, that's right.
Talk us through, give us a bit of a brief of it, and then we'll play the trailer.
Yeah. So Steve, going back to that original video that he played the character in, I just said, he said, I've got an idea for somebody. I want to call him Steve Stevenson. He's going to be a bit bombastic, a bit foolish, a bit Jeremy Clarkson. And he kind of that's how it sort of started. And then we got into the audio drama with him. And when I started writing the 4 episodes, obviously there's 3 more to come out. It was more about why does this... We actually killed... in the video, which isn't part of the audio drama series, we killed him. He gets killed at the end. But I kept thinking of stories for him. And so we decided to set it pre that story. And I was just like, why would someone do this? Why would someone investigate these things that are clearly dangerous and it could end up with the end of your life, as it did for him? And that's really the basis of the story. And that comes out over the 4 stories as to why is he actually doing this crazy stuff.
I feel like you've given away quite a crucial final plot point here.
I don't think so.
No? Okay. No. All right, fair enough. Well, let's have a listen to this. This is the trailer on YouTube. Studio Phantom is your company conglomerate.
Yeah, that's it.
So there's a website, a Studio Phantom website, and there's a YouTube page.
Yes.
So we're going to play now. This is The Book That Wasn't There comic trailer, June 20th. Let's have a listen.
Albert Einstein once said, "Reality is an illusion, albeit a persistent one."
It's me. I know it's been a long time, but I need to know you're okay.
So, mysteries, ghost stories, weird shit.
You're seeking answers.
I've had experiences.
So we can help each other.
I heard something the other week. An unusual book.
Anyone who reads the book is either driven mad or more commonly disappears. Hello. Would you like this coffee?
What do you fucking want?
I want to find the book.
You're absolutely fucking mad. Absolutely fucking mad. It will get you killed.
I'm obsessed. The book won't close. The book won't close.
Steve Stevenson's reality is about to come crashing down.
There we go. So you always wrote, because I remember you sent me the script very early on.
Yeah.
So you were always writing this with the idea to animate it.
Initially it was an audio drama, and then I thought I just really wanted to try and animate it as well, and I'm really pleased I did that, because since I've started doing the marketing, the social media marketing, what I've discovered is that the world of audio dramas is vast. Unreal. I had no idea. There's one listing I signed up to, and I was one of 6,000 audio dramas, mostly in that sci-fi, horror, surreal kind of vein. Right. And you're like, how on earth am I going to stand out amongst these people? And I just think that having animations of it gives you a better chance of standing out, because I don't think there are as many people doing animations as there are audio dramas. Something I do want to say while I'm here is that just also Carl obviously has been amazing, but the other voice actors have been. I'm so lucky to have found them again through Facebook and some of Carl's friends. But I'll just say Sasha Cooper, she's superb. Daniel Ahern is fantastic. Jack Chandler, Liz Walker, who's a friend of yours, I believe.
She is, yeah.
You know, have all
Liz
been absolutely superb, and they've been the sort of like background characters. One of which is Lou Myhill, who delivered just the best quality recordings you could ever imagine.
Yeah, of course.
I didn't have to treat them at all; they were perfect.
Yeah,
and a couple of other friends.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, just want to say thanks to them.
I did see a lot of those guys. They were in this play, wartime kind of play, up at the Railto, wherever it's called.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah. So I saw them all kind of acting together in this thing. Have you got the guy with the mustache? Is he in this? Is he doing the main bit? Isn't he? The intro.
The narrator. That's Jack. Jack Chandler.
He's very good, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's really good.
Fantastic person as well. Well, they all are actually.
Yeah.
They've all been superb. I mean, you know, it was. I posted it saying I haven't got any money, but we've done a profit share. If it does actually sell, then we'll share profit on it.
Well, I did pay $1 to download the comedy,
which is
the
going to be
comics
split amongst us all.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Just if the exchange rate is on your side, you're going to be okay. So the format is that anybody can listen to these shows when they come out. So episode 1 is out right now.
Yeah.
You can listen to it for free in audio format.
Yeah.
Where can you do that?
You can go to any of your major podcasts, so iTunes, Apple Podcasts, in other words, Google Podcasts, Spotify, all of them, and all the sort of like mid-range ones like Stitcher.
Mid-range, you are Stitcher. Yeah. Mid-range, you won't be getting sponsored by them.
Well, I believe that 95% of all audio, the majority of audio downloads are Apple, Spotify, and Google.
Right.
The rest are down below that.
I see.
Yeah.
And episode 1 is the book that wasn't there.
That's it. Yeah.
And then the animation, if you want the animation, you go to Studio Phantom website.
Yeah, studiophantom.online.
And it costs you $1.
And it costs you $1.
And it's about a half an hour show.
Yeah.
And $1 is about 80p.
Yeah.
So it's all good, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say.
So where are we at with episode 2?
Now, episode 2's a way off because it does take a long time to make these things, and also I'm up in the game. I've just literally invested in some equipment that's going to allow me to do automatic lip syncing. So instead of the camera moving in and the voice kind of coming off but the mouth doesn't move, there's going to be lip synced sort of mouth movement with it, which I think will add to the realism, but I've got to figure out how to do it yet, so it's going to take a little bit of time.
So all of the audio for all 4 episodes is done, but you're working on
recorded.
Animation.
I'm currently editing, and I've brought along today a short sample of the edit, half of the episode 2 story. The others have all been recorded with just a couple of other bits to be added to it, but and they take me about a month to actually turn into a fully produced audio drama once I've got all the audio recordings, because you do have to go over it a load of times and then step away from it and come back and ask other people like yourself to just critique it. As you recall, you were very helpful.
Now, some of us, obviously, we've had a lot of, we've all been through lockdowns and all of that. And, some of us thought, we'll do a little project. We'll paint the front room. Yeah. A couple of us bands have sort of done a few of these kind of Zoom music things, maybe some gigs online, or we've recorded a few of these lockdown session songs. I've done that myself. But this project you've taken on is massive compared to that. Why have you taken on something so massive?
It's been a dream most of my life. I'm a huge comic fan, huge sci-fi fan. Have been from the age of 7, and I've attempted writing numerous stories throughout my life and never finished a single one. And when we started this, I actually knocked out the 4 episodes in dialogue form within about 3 months, and I was like quite shocked that I was actually able to finish something for a change. And it's kind of just motivated me. I now want to actually I do want people to say it's really, really good, but I'll be honest, I do also want people to buy it, and I can say people who I don't know are prepared to pay money for this.
Because if you sell all 4 episodes to somebody, you could have a good £3.50 there. You could easily. Yeah, and that's a lot.
It's possible.
No, but it's not. It's no laughing matter, because in Little Hampton, that's a lot of money.
It really is.
I was in Little Hampton the other week, last week.
You can park for 6 hours on that in Little Hampton, but you only get an hour here.
I had some award-winning chips. I went to a cafe that listed loads of coffees, and it didn't tell you that it had vegan cake and beer. It didn't tell you that it had that. You just sort of had to be in the know.
Yeah.
And I got in the know. And so I got some vegan cake and beer, but it was all like under the counter, as if they were giving you drugs or something. Maybe they've not got a license, I don't know.
Could be.
Nice place, Little Hampton.
It is. I mean, not much happens. I mean, I used to live over here, but because I want to put my efforts into creative things, you can't do that on if you want to sort of pay for the rent over here, you've got to have a job that really pays, or you've got to work long hours.
Yeah.
And I've been a mostly minimum wage worker, and especially since I've gone into the care world, been a minimum wage worker.
Both, Dave. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have the only way you can live over here, I think, is by putting in the hours.
Yeah.
Which then stops you being creative.
It's totally
true. I'm from Little Hampton originally. I just moved back there because I can afford to live on a minimum wage salary and be creative. It's not easy, but I can do it.
Well, there's a lot of cultural highlights in Little Hampton, though. See, in the small coincidental world we live in, the Matrix, or as it's also known, Mim, who's who's been on the show. She's from Little Hampton. She moved to Wales. She's now moved back to Little Hampton, so that's why I was down there visiting her.
But she showed me back there, can it?
She showed me all the highlights. She showed me a car park where she once gave a hand job. Probably not allowed to say that. It was just near the West Beach Cafe there.
Yeah.
I think it was the third car parking bay. If anyone's interested, I get in trouble for that. But that's okay. She don't listen. She'll be on the show soon anyway. No, it's all right. I know what you mean about the rent and the hours and the creativity. I mean, I've been working a lot of hours.
I can tell you have. It's a real. I mean, you have to make a decision on what's where do you want to go, and if you want to be creative, you've got to give up a lot of luxuries, haven't you?
It's true. Although the other side of it is sometimes in my life, because I haven't spent most of my life working full time, although I am at the moment. But I remember back in the day, I would go part time and then actually get less done creatively, because you just sort of time plays weird tricks on you, doesn't it? The busier I am, the busier I get. There's that saying, isn't there? If you want to get something done, ask someone who's busy.
Yeah, and that's true. I've experienced that myself. I seem to have hit a vein where, I've got the bit between the teeth and I don't want to let go.
Yeah.
And I literally now, about in January, I started work as a TA at a special needs school, and we get 3 months holiday a year, paid.
Yeah, nice.
So it's fantastic. So I've literally, today is my first day off, and I've got 6 or 7 weeks off to just literally throw myself into the work.
Yeah,
which is great.
amazing. That is good. All you teachers, they're always moaning, aren't they? So, it's so hard. Wonderful.
I wouldn't do it as a teacher, but TAs have got it sorted.
What age group are you?
It's all ages from about 5 up to 16.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And fantastic job, actually. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. Good. Good. Have you played them any of your stuff?
No, because you've got to be careful with all that. Because it's online, and if they get to know you,
right?
I mean, they'll probably find out at some point anyway, because I already had an online presence. But no, I keep.
You're probably the
from
most famous man in Little Hampton. I would have thought.
Unlikely. Obviously never asked.
They're gonna be putting a statue of you up. Where they had this, I heard about this 3D thing they had on the floor, and it all kicked off. They weren't happy.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that? Anyway, right, let's play. So we've got, even though episode 2 is not going to be out for a while,
I've given you an exclusive.
We've got a world global. Forget about your Apples and your Spotify, right? The hardcore exclusives come down to the Husk.
Yeah.
So we've got a exclusive little clip now of episode 2.
Yeah. It's not, before you start, just to say that it's very roughly edited. It's just to put something together to give a flavour of what the story is about.
I only asked you this morning, or didn't I, whenever it was. Yeah. Well, let's have a listen anyway.
Okay.
Here we go.
Steve, please. I know things were tense, but you're still my baby brother. Call me. Please call me.
You owe me a coffee.
I guess. What's your pleasure?
Full fat latte, none of that vegan crap.
Why am I not surprised?
I'm a bastard, Steve, but everyone knows. I don't hide it. If I screw you over, it's your own fault.
That's so, refreshing.
You'll be meeting another oddball, wanker, just like you. Back in the 70s, Brighton was the home of a maths prodigy who was thought to be the next big thing in quantum mechanics. Extremely well regarded at Sussex University.
I didn't know that.
Leonard Sopwith. He suffered a total mental breakdown and completely retired from research. Wimp.
Okay, so?
So, there's a myth attached to him. Now, some people claim that he can cause others to experience an altered state of perception. No drugs involved.
How, then?
I hear magic science numbers, vibrational therapy, vague, hippie shit.
I'm here, in the car park of Sainsbury's Hove megastore, waiting to meet Leonard Sopwith and his support worker, Jill. Hello there. Excuse me, but are you Jill and Leonard?
Steve?
At your service, so to
122.
speak. It's nice to meet you both.
You too.
1, 2, 3.
You'll have to excuse Lenny.
124.
He's in the middle of counting. When he's finished, he'll say hello.
Counting?
Oh, it's a thing he does. He can only walk 137 steps at a time. Then he has to count to 137 before he can walk again. It's okay. Doesn't take long. Just wait. Lenny. Steve Stevenson. He's here to talk about your work.
Stevenson, I know you.
We've not met. I'm certain of that.
I know you.
Maybe it was someone else, Lenny.
I know him.
Okay. Let's walk to the cafe.
I'm not mad, you know. Do you know the piano's on my foot?
You choose where we sit. What would you like? Breakfast?
We've had breakfast.
Sausage sandwich. Espresso.
Okay. Cappuccino, please.
Don't touch my bag.
What Lenny said. Don't touch his bag. He keeps his stuff in it.
Stuff?
Gadgets. Sciencey stuff.
Microtubules.
I'm sure you're right, Lenny, even though I haven't got a clue what you mean.
It sounds fascinating. Am I right? You interested in the fine structure constant.
Constant. Constant. 137, the master number. Wolfgang Pauli died in bed number 137, you know. Serendipity.
Wolfgang Pauli?
Predecessor, scientist, also obsessed with this topic. Lenny often mentions him.
Planet Earth, 68.5 hertz. The universe, 137 hertz.
I'm sorry, Lenny. I'm really not following.
What? I've never seen those before.
The Earth. Universe.
Lenny?
What's this?
Seizure?
Go.
It's okay, Lenny.
I'm freezing. Everyone's disappeared. I can't see. It's gloomy. What happened? I am so cold. What the fuck? I don't know what that was, but I'm not hanging around.
That was a global exclusive of episode 2.
You can stop scratching your head now.
They were talking there about the Schumann resonance, weren't they? Is that what it is?
Well, yeah, that'll do. I'll take that.
Yeah? All right, okay.
Vibrational, sort of like magic.
Right, we've gone through all the tick in the box crap that we have to do. Introducing you, you know, asking you why, all this kind of stuff. Right, now let's get down to it. Okay. Let's unravel the obvious oddness of your mind. What's going on? Why is it that you are creating material about these subjects?
Well, it could be actually that these are the big questions we need to answer, aren't they?
Okay.
You know, what is life? Where do we come from?
Where,
quantum mechanics.
Where is your... Yeah, well, we've talked about these things before, and I'm interested in these things as well. Where is your belief system at? What are you... I mean, what's the state of reality as far as you're concerned?
Like most scientists, we just don't know.
You're a scientist, are you?
Like most scientists, I'm not a scientist myself, but we just don't know, do we? I just don't think we know. There's all this stuff coming out with the quantum world that has changed a lot of views, but it still hasn't really told us anything about how we're all here, how it all started, and
the quantum world. I was trying to do this piece of writing a couple of years ago, and I was trying to write about the double slit experiment and the one that's even crazier than that, which is the I can't remember what it's called now, but the double blind randomized thing that shows that like can sort of erase history in the quantum world.
Wow,
there's like a thing that they did.
Don't know that one.
It's from 2009, I think it was done.
Right.
I think it was Japanese scientists or something. But the thing is, I was trying to write about it, and I was like, I wanted to write about it in my own words, and in order to do that, you've really got to go heavy, right? You've really got to get into it, and it's crazy when you fully. Well, I mean, obviously, no one fully understands it, but when you start to really not just the kind of superficial, oh, it's this, when you really think about what
Yeah.
that means and you really get into it,
Yeah.
it's mental.
Yeah, it is. And a thing that I find fascinating, it's like you think of the theory of general relativity, Einstein's theory. I've lost count. I mean, there's probably hundreds of video explanations of it, and I still don't understand it.
Yeah.
I still can't get my head around how space and time are the same thing. It doesn't, I can't understand it. But it's fascinating.
Do you believe in the supernatural?
No, not at all. No. I love the supernatural. I think we all love to have that sort of sense of wonder, that there's something more than the bland lives we have when we get up and go to work and go to sleep and get up and go to work and go to sleep. And I think that's why people love fantasy, and
So-
also religion obviously loves it because it means that we don't just die.
Yeah.
But I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in, even though I'm writing about them all the time and put them in the stories, I don't actually believe it. I just love letting my imagination believe it.
Have you ever had any unexplained experiences?
Yeah, I have. And I should say that I've never taken drugs. When I lived in London, that's when I used to be gigging in London, and I dropped a musician off home somewhere in North London. I was driving back down to Teddington, and I came past, what's the name of that famous prison in sort of like the West London area? But anyway, I forget the name of it now. But I was driving along and I saw this old lady in the middle of the road, just walking along, really old, in a sort of like almost like a Victorian nightdress type thing, walking along, and I just sort of swerved around her, and then when I went past, looked in my rearview mirror, and there was nobody there.
Right.
And that was like, okay, I must have imagined that. There's something really crazy, but it stuck with me. It's like, what on earth? That was so bizarre.
No ghosts. What about? Do you think there's any sort of energies that perhaps haven't yet been scientifically explained? Maybe things that humans can do, energies we can harness, anything like this?
I would say it's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, there was an announcement only in the last 6 months, I think, of a fifth universal force, which they don't fully understand.
Right.
So, and then there's all this talk about dark matter and dark energy, which they still don't fully understand. So, and I have to say, also, really fascinating. Have you noticed all these videos that have been surfacing since 2017 when the Pentagon released the UFO videos, or they call them UAPs,
Yeah.
and saying these are real videos, these are our people, we don't know what they are.
Yeah. So
And
what's going on there?
Yeah, I haven't got a clue.
What do you reckon, though?
It's the Pentagon, isn't it? So there could be some underhand stuff going on.
I mean, in the conspiracy world, they say it's one or two things, don't they? They either say you got a group of people that go, it's bloody aliens, been telling you for years.
Yeah.
There's another group of people that believe what there's going to be is a staged, fake alien invasion, in which holograms will be simulating alien invasions in order to sort of unite humanity and further the cause of a one world government and the new world order. But that's what they say. That's what they say.
That's the Watchmen storyline.
Is it?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So, there's.
And he's what's his name? Who wrote that? What's
Alan
his name?
Moore.
Alan Moore.
Yeah.
He famously turned to magic, didn't he? After
Yeah.
he was 40.
Yeah.
Reached the age of 40, decided to become a magician.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I somehow get the impression that he's seeing it in a more psychological way than actual magic. That somehow by achieving certain states of mind, you can increase performance or do things that you can't normally do.
Well, there's an interesting thing about the public's perception of magic, though, because the famous occultist Diane Fortune and Aleister Crowley both basically describe magic as a psychological process. It's which is not to say that there aren't odd things which people would question about it, but that because it's the idea that consciousness, there's a link between consciousness and reality.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a link between consciousness and reality?
Again, it's one of these things. Yes, there might be, but it's until it's actually proved.
These aren't the gritty, meaty answers we want. We want you to say something controversial.
I'm only from Little Hampton. How can I possibly know this? You know, I didn't know there was vegan beer in Little Hampton. Now I do.
Yeah, no, it's all there. It's all going on. Vegan cake does the works. It's all happening. It's all happening. Do you know you've got under the little chalets there? There's a little walkway that's kind of enclosed, and there's a little Portuguese restaurant cafe there, and the name is it means something like cock. Yeah. And finally, some people found out, and started complaining to the council. And the council wrote to them and said, "You've got to change the name." But they're getting away with it because it's also a really ancient word for a ship, and they've put a little logo of a ship, and they're like, "Oh no, we mean that," but they definitely don't mean that.
I think someone should just open a cafe and call it Cock.
Cafe
Personally.
Cock.
Yeah, why not?
Cafe Cock. Don't ask for cream. Sorry, that was just bad, wasn't it? Now, so hang on, riddle me this, Dave. How is it that somebody that doesn't believe in ghosts is writing about ghosts? What is that all about?
Because you can have two states of mind. You can. I mean, if I think back to when I was 7 years old and when I first started reading comics, I loved all that stuff, and you can still have that sense of wonder of you know. I mean, some of my favourite books are Clive Barker, who really goes out there with his kind of like fantasy stuff, and it's just fantastic to allow yourself to believe it, but you can allow yourself to believe it while knowing that you don't really believe it's true at all. You can have those two states of mind.
It seems like we live in a world that's becoming, to some extent anyway, from some perspective, quite analytical and scientific, and there's the sort of scientism, almost like a religion.
Yeah, true.
But at the same token, we seem to fundamentally need stories and metaphors and ideas about superpowers and
something greater than ourselves.
Something greater than ourselves. What's driving all of that?
Well, I think it's probably, I would say it's fear of the end of your life. It can be driven by, as I said earlier, you might just have the most mundane life, turning up, doing a boring job, coming home, exhausted, going to bed, eating, going to bed, getting up, and that just, you know, rinse and repeat over and over again. You're going to want to believe that there's something more. And I suspect when in the sort of like Victorian times and pre-Victorian times, where the life of the working class was absolutely abysmal, you know, they're going to want to believe in something more than this crock of shit that, you know, they're going through. Yeah.
It's an interesting thing because, you know, the world tries to sort of answer everybody these days with sort of facts and figures. But I think we've seen that basically people don't really actually respond to that.
No.
I've been thinking a lot about my own beliefs recently.
Yeah.
And the way in which I'm realising that like I can get in arguments with people about something. Say Brexit, for example. I could argue with somebody about Brexit, and I could go, well, this is what I think, and they'll go, well, this is what I think, and I can list off my ideological reasons for the way I voted, and they can do the same.
Yeah.
But actually, what happened was, my dad was a bit shit when I was a kid, so I'm just a bit anti-authoritarian, right?
Yeah.
So these kinds of things have driven me into the politic, and then like I sort of find a framework to lay over that, but it's all just an excuse because really I just was drifting that way for some other reason.
Yeah, I think it's true. I believe you there.
What are you hoping to achieve out of your creativity? Because you're saying you want to make $3.50. You want to make you'd like to make $4 from a stranger.
Yeah.
But that's not the most lofty of ambitions. What about the sort of spiritual aim of the work?
I love doing it. It's just absolute joy. You know, when I've had when during lockdown I had periods where I wasn't working and I was able to just get up in the morning, and my whole sort of like schedule was I tend to be an early riser, so I'll be up at 4:30 or 5. I'd work till about 12. I'd sleep for 2 or 3 hours, and then I'd carry on in the evening. And I felt fantastic. I felt really relaxed. I felt like I was achieving something, and I was in a zone I really, really enjoyed. So, yes, I would love the main reason I want to sell and make money from it is, and it would be lovely if it's a vast amount of money, but if I could give up the day job and I could just focus on it full time, that would be the pinnacle.
We
for
all know
me.
that feeling, don't we? Yeah. But
And how many people try that and never achieve? So
is there a message within the work, or is it more of a sort of piece of entertainment? Does it have a message within it?
I don't set out with a message. What I've found with the few things I've managed to complete is a message grows out of it that I hadn't thought of, and then you say, oh, hang on a minute, maybe I can twist it this direction, and oh, that's interesting, and then you start to get a message, which is actually again going back to the Through the Black Door. It started off as, oh, we've got some more adventures for Steve Stevenson, and as we started writing them, then the sort of kernel of, oh, hang on a minute, there is something else, there's another level to this that we can, and that then suddenly makes it feel more like a story.
Do you find that your characters are starting to develop a life of their own and get a bit out of control?
Definitely.
Out of your control?
I think no, because you ultimately you are the god of the story, and if you remember when that first episode I asked for your opinion of it, and you came back with something, I can go in and change and chop it around. Yeah. So you do, as long as you can distance yourself, you can say that doesn't work. But they do develop themselves, and most of the ideas come from dreams, and they I actually do a kind of form of lucid dreaming, where if I've hit sort of a block with the characters and I don't know quite where to take them, I can sort of like go to bed and kind of daydream it, but keep focusing on that daydream.
This is very interesting because I've been experimenting with a similar thing quite recently.
I'll wake up in the morning and I've got a solution to it. So it's my subconscious, but in a way they've resolved that problem themselves.
Outside of that example, have you found that your work, I might just be pushing you into a box here to try and create something that's not there, but have you found that your work sort of shows up in your life in some way? Is it now interacting with reality in any way? Have you had any coincidental things? You fill your mind with all this stuff. Does it come out elsewhere?
Yeah, it must. If you think about it, it must. Like episode 2 has it's quantum stuff. Well, that's all come from my fascination with, quantum science, quantum physics, and all the rest of it, and it's fed into it. But I mean, I've turned it into a load of nonsense deliberately. It's kind of tongue in cheek, but underneath it is a question like the world is crazier and spookier than we realise, So that's come into it. And I think also my work, the work I do, because of I'm now in a special needs school. Prior to that, I was in learning difficulties and in elderly care. That has opened up. I think it's opened up my empathy more, and I think that's fed into some of the characters as well.
I work with learning disabilities, and it's you learn a lot about humanity. I think working with learning disabilities, because there's less. It's all out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Much less hidden. It's out there.
Yeah, exactly.
And people are warts and all. They are who they are, and you see the sometimes ugly, to be honest, breath of humanity.
Yeah.
Who's the guy? Not Alan Moore. The other guy did all the Chaos Magic with the Bold Head. He wrote a load of comics. He wrote.
Grant Morrison.
Grant Morrison. Now, so he wrote, what was that one? I can't remember what it was called now. But he wrote one of these comics, and then he found that the things that he was writing in the comic started happening into his real life, and then he decided to deliberately make the characters do certain things in order so that he could get things to happen, and then he claims it happened.
He's quite interesting, because I read a piece on him. It was part interview, part research, and how when before he shaved his head off, he was this very mild, meek personality, and his writing was as well. And he went through something that caused him to say, fuck it, I'm going to really go and I'm really going to experience everything. And a lot of the crazy, weird sadomasochistic stuff he's also gone through in his real life.
Yep.
You know, he just decided just to open up.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a great. He's written a book. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a great book. Recommend it. Well, keep an eye out to see. I'm interested to see, and I want you to let me know in the future if you start to get a link between what's happening in the fictional world that you create and reality. Yeah. Because I suspect
maybe Steve Stevenson will appear on this show.
Maybe. I mean, we just seem to be in some fucking sort of Carl Anderson tribute act, don't we? The whole thing just exists around him. Now, there was something else I was going to ask you, but we got sidetracked there, so I've forgotten. Is there anything else you want to say to me? Anything else you want to say? Things that I haven't asked? No, that's too long of a pause.
No, not really, no.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming on the show, and you know, you've come all the way up.
Thank you for asking me.
Little Hampton. I do appreciate it.
Yeah.
What's the future? What happens when this project's done? Does Steve Stevenson carry on?
Yeah. I've got 3 more stories.
3 more stories.
3 more stories that have been mapped out in my head and written down and planned, but not actually turned into scripts or dialogue. And they're the real stories that I want to get to. This is kind of like the one where I learn how to do it.
Okay.
In many ways, we've stumbled into it. It grew from getting to know Carl.
Right.
And it it made itself happen in a way. But it's been useful for me because I'm learning so much, and I want to get that. And then I want to take whatever I learn by the time I finish episode 4 to really do something really ambitious.
With this stuff that you're talking about, ghosts and the paranormal and quantum mechanics, do you do? This is the other thing I've remembered I wanted to ask you. Are you how heavy are you going on the research? How sort of factual is it? Or?
With this story, you don't really have to be that accurate because it's you know it'll become apparent by the end of episode 4 what's actually happening. But I did do a lot of research for episode 2 on actual the fine structure constant, which is part of quantum mechanics, and it's really it's one of and the number they call it 137. It's actually 137 over 1, I believe, and it's an equation, part of an equation, that if that number was different, this universe wouldn't exist. And it's a really, really like strange. Why is it this? Why is the number this number? And there are a number of top physicists, and I had to really research that because I wanted to make it, although it's gobbledygook, I wanted to make it sound as if it's based on something real. So yeah, I did a bit of research for that.
Do you think there could be a conscious creator of reality, a god?
Could possibly be. There could
but
be
no ghosts.
There could be ghosts, but I doubt it. You know, everything that hasn't been proved could be real.
But you're more open to some things than others, it seems.
Yeah, I'm a much more science based than I. And if you take the fantasist out of it, I would always err on the sort of science and proof, and so I'm not. I'm an atheist.
Are they worlds though? Like religion and science? Is it a world that used to be one world that then separated and now is slowly drawing back together as science discovers?
No, I don't think so.
How insane reality is.
I think they're still very separate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just that whole question is. I mean, on religion, I've not yet heard a religious story that I go, wow, that must be true, or that's so true. They always sound made up. They just sound made up. I've got no evidence against it, but they just sound made up, so I can't possibly believe them. But we don't know why we're here. There's the whole hologram theory. There's the matrix theory.
Many worlds.
Exactly. So
could we be living in a matrix?
Yeah, absolutely.
A simulation.
Well, if we can produce with our limited technical and scientific skills the worlds that we create for online gaming, what about a society that is like thousands of years ahead of us in their technology? What could they create? And could this actually be it? And
would they? Well, they would, wouldn't they? If they were like us, they'd do
it. Absolutely.
If we could create a completely convincing reality in which to enslave minds, that's what we'd do. We'd do it, wouldn't we?
Or free minds.
Well, or free minds.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very interested in the work. I haven't got around to listening to that because I've actually got. I hope no one comes to rob me, but I've actually got the audio of episode 2. Amazing. You should have given it to me as a is it NFT?
Yeah, I've thought about that.
And I could have sold it. I could have sold it in 10 years'
could.
time. I probably could have got $3 for that.
Hang on to it.
I will.
Yeah.
I've got the timestamp on it.
Yeah.
I got the timestamp on it. That's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're in a world of digital artifacts.
If I can figure out how to do an NFT, I'll create one for you.
Oh yeah,
you can have it.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Also, Dave, I'm setting you a challenge, but you don't have to accept it. But I was going to say it to you. Little intro animation to go along with the music for the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Happy to do that.
Could be anything you want.
Yeah.
Although I've got my new crow. Have you seen it?
Oh, I like it. Very nice. Who did that for you?
I bought it for 99p.
Okay.
Well, the crow, I designed the thing, but I bought the crow 99p on Canva.
Yeah. Does it have a relevance to the Husk?
I couldn't talk about that, Dave.
Does it need to be animated?
No, I don't think I want the crow.
You don't want a dancing.
No, I don't want. No. I'll get in a lot of trouble with the gods if that happens. Right. Well, thank you very much for coming all this way. I really appreciate it. It's great to have you on the show. It's great to be doing the Husk again, and we'll get you back on. Yeah. Well, we'll get you back on. At some point, we'll get you back on. Keep us up to date. I want to know about weird things, and I want to know when everything's available. And get me an NFT.
I will.
Now I'm going to play the thing seamlessly. So seamlessly. Here's another thing, because I know what they'll be complaining about next. They'll be saying, well, you're not doing much of an outro. You're not saying what's next. That's what they'll say to me. So next week on the show, I think it's next week, we've got Tora is coming on. And she is a funeral director. And I don't know what else I'm allowed to say about her, because I do know some things about her, but I don't know if they're not things we're allowed to talk about on the show. I'm not sure. But I know that she's really passionate about death. She doesn't think it's something that we, in our culture sort of talk about or embrace. And I think she's trying to write a book about it. So, she's a really interesting person to talk to. So I think it's going to be a good show. That will hopefully be next week on
The Husk on Mixcloud
and YouTube.